Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Semi-Soccer Experts Podcast, also known as the C
Podcast.
Adrian, I've lost count. We're on episode 38.
38, my friend. 38.
How are you doing today, Adrian?
Not too bad, man. It's Monday, back into the grind and the mix of things. So it's a new week, but hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to deliver a great episode here because we do have two interesting topics to talk about. And, to go forward, it's the return of the Premier League. And not only that, Serie A is back and La Liga is going to be returning shortly. So
A lot of major leagues are back. Yes, the Premier League is back. La Liga is back. There's a lot of going on. Where should we start first? I think the biggest thing this start of the new season is where Premier League is being watched, and we kind of mentioned it before, but we'll talk more in depth about it. Is NBC's new streaming service Peacock. Majority of Premier League games, if not, believe all of them, are going to be shown on Peacock. It's their new streaming service. It's actually something separate from NBC Sports. So there's a lot we can talk about here. I have Peacock. I've used it. So there's a lot of mixed reviews.
A lot. But wait, before you jump in further, let me just bring in the viewers a little bit of information about Peacock and background. So Peacock was developed by NBC as, their version of like their, I guess what CBS and all these other networks are doing, having their own streaming sites and having the shows, just to pay a monthly subscription of $4.99 with limited ads, and then $10 with no ads, et cetera, et cetera. So, they feel like since a lot of people are tuning out of cable, there's the alternative. The thing with Peacock, though, before Peacock even started, there was NBC Gold. NBC Gold just gave you exclusive soccer content within NBC Sports. I personally didn't like NBC Gold because it was a pain in the ass, and it's only a selected amount of games were only added because a majority of the games were shown on NBCSN, and like on primetime, you get like the major games on NBC. So with that, NBC got rid of Gold, I guess, because they just want to push further through with Peacock. And with Peacock going forward, they want to stream literally like more than half their games on the digital streaming service. And really, there's no games on NBC Sports or NBC in general that I've noticed. I think only like a handful of games, but these are games like, pretty much not the creme de la creme teams, top 6, top 8 that you would watch on a daily, weekly viewing basis. So I feel like NBC is now trying to prioritize people to get Peacock, which, like I said, is only $5 a month. You can get a 7-day trial. I'm not trying to, commercialize this, but I'm just saying, it's okay for the time being for me because I'm like, whatever at this point. Like, I just want to watch Manchester United play, even though they had a shitty performance this past weekend. But I'll get to that later. So it's just frustrating because I do see a lot of people on Twitter vent on it, and they're saying like, hey, why can't I just? Because a lot of people were used to watching the thing with Peacock though. It was not shown on streaming services. Like, if you have a TV, if you have Roku, you can't stream it until this past weekend. NBC and Roku made an agreement to stream Peacock. So not many people were able to see it on their TVs. Only if you had like a laptop or on your phone, you could just download the app. So I think what NBC kind of dropped the ball on was that they didn't really initialize Peacock as like a major app for TV streaming sites so people can watch soccer. And that's where I feel like a lot of the frustration is stemmed from.
So yeah, that seems to be the major issue, is the compatibility of, Peacock being able to use the app on your TV. So I've actually had the opposite experience. I bought Peacock. I was like, it's $5 for the month. I'm already paying for ESPN. And I've said this before, ESPN Plus, you get a lot more bang for your buck.
Oh, hell yeah. ESPN Plus is taking it away. And now they got the Bundesliga. So in Bundesliga actually came back this weekend as well. So you got Bundesliga, Serie A, and other FA Cups. I think it's FA Cup and like domestic cups within England to be shown on ESPN and parts of MLS.
Yep, you got MLS, you got FA Cup. I think you got the Curling Cup, or is it the Curling Cup? The League Cup. What is it called?
Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup. Carabao Cup. You have Bundesliga, you have Serie A, and you have the MLS, USL, you have the Dutch League, you have the Danish League, and then you get the host of all the other sports. Once in a while, they'll show NBA. Once in a while, they have all baseball and Monday Night Football. So again, for me personally, as a soccer fan and as a sports fan in general, ESPN Plus is bang for my buck. But I can go on a tangent. I don't want to. Peacock. I got Peacock. I was like, you know what? Let me go buy the Premier League. So the reason why I got Peacock is because James Rodriguez just moved from Real Madrid to Everton. So another tangent really quick. But
We're always full of tangents.
You got a whole nation now switching their attention from Spain to the Merseyside, to Liverpool, to Everton. Not Liverpool the city, not Liverpool the club. But now you got a whole demographic, hooked for Everton for Premier League action. And I guarantee you a lot of Colombians bought Peacock just recently. I bought with it for the intention so my dad could watch James. He's a big James fan, so I bought it. And, back to like streaming on the TV, I have the Chrome TV dongle that you attach to the
Chromecast, is it?
Chromecast, yeah, I have Chromecast, so it was very easy for me to actually AirPlay from my phone to the TV, so I didn't really have a problem. I always wanted to buy NBC Sports, but $60 upfront kind of was a lot scarier than paying $5 a month, if you catch my drift. So I think this pricing model, even though it's the same thing, $60 over across 12 months and then $5 a month, it's the same price point. It's just being able to afford it at the moment, especially before I didn't have a lot of money. So I think that makes it a little more attractive. But the other thing is I didn't have NBC Sports or NBC Gold, so I don't have something to compare it to. Mm-hmm. I'll say this. I genuinely don't have any interest in watching any of the other NBC content.
I think most of the people who are buying Peacock right now is soccer fans. I think I could be wrong, but given how like Peacock is only being mentioned within our spectrum, like the soccer world, and I haven't seen it like anybody else bitch on it about Twitter for any other content. I'm pretty sure this is their main consumer for the time being.
I think it's possible, and I think it would be a bad strategy, but I genuinely think that they say, we're going to move all the Premier League content to Peacock because we need to sell this app quick. They're probably some kind of executives or whoever's in charge of the app said, hey, we need to show that this sells, and the best way is to just move the Premier League content to the new streaming service. And it's not like the company itself is losing money. Now, NBC Gold, to what I understand, is still a thing.
It is. I thought it was discontinued.
No, I thought they discontinued just the I could be wrong. I don't know. I thought it was still a thing. But whatever the case may be, going back a couple steps, I'm not interested in the other NBC content.
No.
I'm just interested in the football. Another issue, Del, I did have is, I think, and you did mention this with NBC Sports Gold, is that you don't get to see what you want to see. For example, last weekend was Liverpool Leeds.
Yeah.
You have Marcelo Bielsa versus Jurgen Klopp, and apparently it was a great match. It
was exciting. Went 4-3. I only saw bits and clips of it, but it was like the first half I did see a majority of. I also wanted to give a little shout out too to Jack Harrison, who scored for Leeds. A little background about him. He actually played, up here on the Upper West Side in the city. And then he was picked up by NYCFC, made a name for himself the first season, and then went over to England to I guess improve himself and like to see if he can really make it out there, which I don't blame him for.
I don't blame him either. He made it.
Yeah, he's made it. He's in the Premier League scoring goals against Liverpool. There's bright horizons for the kid going forward. Anyways, tangent over.
No, for sure. But like, I was very upset that a key matchup like Liverpool Leeds was not being showed. I did see Liverpool Chelsea. I saw the first half of it. The first game I saw was Everton versus Tottenham, where James made his debut, and then I watched again Tottenham versus Sheffield United. You know, the quality of the streaming is great. Nothing. It's good. It's a good like for the purpose of me watching football. It's great. I think the only thing is I didn't get to see what I wanted to see, which would have been Liverpool Leeds. The other games are great. I'm sure either they're going to have more marquee matchups, but that is so far my only complaint. Again, I do find these complaints about the compatibility of not being able to watch it on Roku or whatever the case may be. Um, it's just a question of dongles, of buying a Chromecast or buying something that can AirPlay to your TV. Most TVs now you can just, AirPlay, whatever the case may be. So I don't think those complaints are merited per
It,
se.
it isn't, but I feel like it's the easy factor of like streaming, or the availability factor of having to just stream a game or just watch a game, just simply turning on your TV. So I get these people's complaints like, yeah, but at the same time, you can just easily HDMI your laptop over to your TV in this day and age. But
Right, right.
but yeah, I get it though, because if you're a fan of the EPL, like you want to pay, like, not even pay cable, but like if you want like just all the games to just one setting, just leave it like that. Like I feel like NBC has to come to a decision where they're either gonna have it all on Peacock or just do what you normally had it for, NBCSN. But I don't see them returning back to NBC Sports. Even with the majority of complaints going to go up, we're going to see how it is on a case by case basis. But I think the best thing going forward is just to have them all stream on Peacock. The other thing that's going to suck though, because since we're still in the COVID era, a lot of TVs, and like if you want to go watch in a pub outdoors, it's a little harder to stream Peacock or like any digital streaming service from a bar, because it's a little technicality and legality going with that. So it's a lot of like more cons that come with it as well.
Yeah, because especially, and to make it more layman's terms, you're gonna need a little tech savvy employee to say, hey, I'm gonna install the Chromecast or whatever to the TV so we can stream the game, because that's what people are gonna watch. In that instance, yes, I agree with you 100%. The ease of it, the making it easy to stream a game in that context, yes, absolutely. I think that's a factor that NBC and then whoever did Peacock just missed out on. There's going to be a lot of gatherings that or establishments that are going to miss out on that. It's not like the good old days where you turn on ESPN, you switch the channel and then you had everything there right in front of you. So that's just, I think that probably a very big complaint. And then, all in all, though, I'd say Peacock is okay. I'm not too upset about it. Like my thing is just not to repeat myself over and over again. It's just I don't want to watch the other stuff, and
And
that's really it for me.
and that's the thing too. Like Peacock is okay. Like for now, I'll deal with it. But the other thing that I was really unsure about was because now we have now going forward we have Peacock, ESPN Plus for like all the other leagues, and potentially if you want to invest Fox Sports for MLS. Also, we also have CBS Sports that's going to be streaming Champions League football again. And remember, we had our little rant about it, like going like, why are you just doing it on, just streaming? I feel like, and that's the other thing I feel like that's gonna harm a lot of viewers, like the casual soccer viewers here in the States, is that they're not gonna sign up for all these subscriptions. Like if I was to do a quick math, like essentially you're gonna be paying like $25 or more just for soccer content a month. You think people like if you're not a diehard, you're not. I don't see people really spending that much money for this shit.
If you're not a diehard or if you're not in the industry like we are, it really doesn't it doesn't help. You're right. I mean, I do think Bleacher Report letting go of a Champions League was a big mistake, but it's I don't want to pay so much money for all these streaming services. And on top of that, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, I rather, if I'm going to pay $25 in total, I rather see one. I want to see one statement on my bill that says $25, whatever streaming service it is, then $5 here, $5 here, $5 here, $5 here, $5 here.
You know, there's also other alternatives as well. I think I forgot what's this other Fubu, whatever you call
Fubo
it.
TV. I never tried that service. I'm not going to knock it out the park, but the way it was kind of advertised kind of seems like, hey, sign up for our service and we're going to give you the best illegal streaming link we could find.
Yeah.
That's how that was the. And again, I don't want to knock Fubu because I didn't try, but that was the feel that they gave me. But last I heard, though, that Fubo did lose the rights to the Premier League. That's what some of my friends were saying. So I guess they do legally have the rights to certain leagues, which is fantastic. I'm not sure how much it is. I think it was like $9.99 a month, if I'm not mistaken, which is not bad.
It isn't.
But like I said,
I think it has different subscription bundles, so it probably starts from $9.99 and then goes up as to like specifically which kind you want to include in your package. So I think going forward, and it's mind-boggling because it feels like this is cable all over again, but just the digital version of it. Because a lot of people are dropping cable, like dropping Spectrum, dropping Files, etc. But they're gonna choose like little subscriptions, and then like watch like a couple years from now, some like fucking smart ass entrepreneur is gonna come out with like a whole package, like a Netflix type of ordeal. It's gonna pick out like all the same soccer content with a one package, and it's probably gonna be priced out like what $20 a month, and then like some other sports or programming that you want to see in like 5 years from now, or maybe even less. Because in this day and age, technology moves so fast. You never know, where it's going.
I do use Spectrum. Like right now, I have
fucking psycho, bro.
I have the Turkish league on the background. While we're talking, but you're right. Everything is moving away from cable. We're moving into the digital era. We're gonna see somebody. There's gonna be some guy, and I don't think he's gonna be an entrepreneur. He's gonna be more of a businessman. It's like, let's just bundle all this stuff together and see what price we can get for it. I think that's what's gonna be the next route. So yeah, but those are my 2 cents on Peacock. Those are my 2 cents on the streaming service. I'm okay with it right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. I don't even know I don't know. For me, I'm just not optimistic, to say the least, to see where we're gonna go with all these streaming sites. But in this day and age, just gonna have to suck it up and keep it going. But with that being said, since we're still on Premier League, I did want to touch a couple things too. Like you said, James is back. He's not back, but he's in Everton now. So I feel like this is a big change, especially for all the Colombian fans. Because granted, and I feel bad for James. Like he's a great player in his day and age. Like the jersey you're wearing for Bayern Munich, he was doing pretty solid for them. I'm surprised they didn't buy him, but I guess now that I don't know if they're gonna buy back Coutinho, because they do have like a lot of people who could play number 10 in that team. So it's frustrating for for somebody like of his caliber, just sitting on the bench for like the last 2 years.
No, 100%. It's definitely, but it's great to see our number 10 smile again. He scored a goal over the weekend. He assisted another goal, or he helped build up another goal. The big conversation piece a lot of people were saying was like Everton jumped from Real Madrid to Everton, and now he's playing like the best player in the world. And when he was at Real Madrid, he was being benched. We can't take that. We can't take that at face value, because we can't. People are arguing like, oh, La Liga is so much harder than EPL, and me, I'm a Spanish philosophy La Liga diehard. But, there are a lot of factors that went into James's time in Real Madrid. He was injured for a good amount of time and his morale was completely down. He was working with Zidane. Unfortunately, Zidane did not favor him. Being bought by Ancelotti, he has a history working with Ancelotti. Ancelotti values him as a player, and the results showed.
Ancelotti was the one who wanted him at Madrid, right?
Yeah. he wasn't the one who wanted Madrid, but that's what he came in at that time and worked with him. But that being said, you know, James moving to Everton, people were like, "Oh, La Liga's way too hard compared to the EPL." And then someone also made the argument, "Well, Bale just went to Tottenham and Real Madrid dropped points this weekend. They tied in their first game. Well, Bale didn't play, you know." So again, I don't like people jumping on this bandwagon like, "Oh, La Liga's harder or EPL's harder." You know, I'm a La Liga fan. I value the Spanish philosophy, but again, James went through a difficult period. You know, you can no disrespect to any Everton fans, but you're comparing Real Madrid with Everton. It's a tough comparison right there, my friends. You know,
Yeah,
so,
no, and I think he'll do fine with Everton. And to be honest, I can see Everton probably making even a claw and sniff up to the top six because they have a pretty good midfield, and
well,
if they're consistent, they can make a run at it as well. So
they're in second place right now, so it's not bad.
yeah, for now.
James
um,
Joy is in Champions League spots.
And I was gonna say, and with that being said as well, Bale, he's another addition to the Premier League, and I think this is just and then if you're like one of the head honchos of the Premier League, you're just seeing dollar signs on your eyes, because Bale now is like still a marquee player, still one on his day can be one of the top 5 players in the world if he doesn't go golfing. But regardless, he signed back with Tottenham. Mourinho wanted him. And this is the funny thing about like Mourinho, and like when Mourinho's satisfied and he has things going for him, he knows the players he wants and he'll get them, and you're gonna see results. So, and it's funny because Tottenham bought Bale and also Reguilon from Sevilla, who was another Manchester target, but of course the Manchester board did not want to invest that much money on him. But I think it's due to like a buyback clause that Real Madrid inserted, and they didn't want that, they wanted that to be part of the deal, and if not, that was going to be a deal breaker. So I kind of get why United didn't go full trigger for him, but at the same time, they still do need another left back for that team. So Mourinho's like, fuck it, let's just get him for the time being, and he's a great player. And those two players didn't even play this past Sunday for Tottenham, and they eventually scored like 5 goals. And I think with that, Mourinho installed a fire in that team. Is just like, hey, get your shit together. If not, I'm gonna replace you. Because now, ever since they just won, Dele Alli is pretty much in the market because he's like, I don't need you no more. You can go. And it's gonna be very interesting. Especially, this is gonna be an interesting season for the EPL because Tottenham can be a force, like especially the way they just beat Southampton. And if they include Bale and Reguilon, forget about it. They can be top 4 worthy.
Harry Kane had 4 assists and Son had 4 goals. So Tottenham was
playing. He was playing like he was on fire.
Dele Alli got linked. I saw with PSG, which I thought was very interesting. But yeah, no, Tottenham. I think Jose Mourinho, when he gets the players that he needs, I think he does very well. And I think you could agree with me here. A lot of people, well, the argument is that the reason why Mourinho failed at Manchester United is because the board did not give him what he wanted.
110%. Because, a lot of people say he's washed up, he's finished. I'm like, that's bullshit. One, he's not washed up. Because I remember the quote that sticks by me, and I remember when he was our manager, when we ended up at second place, and he's like, you're going to remember me for being second place with this team that I had. Because that team that he had at that time was nothing significant. Granted, they were pretty good, but they weren't title contenders.
That was the Europa League team, and the only
the year after Europa.
That's
when we bought Lukaku. Yeah, when we bought Lukaku and we stole Sanchez from City. So with that being said, and then that's when the bricks started falling out because after that season we bought Fred. I think then the backup goalkeeper Lee Grant, who only played like 2 games for us so far, and I think Lindelof as well, Lindelof was bought a season before, and Lavelle. So, and with that transfer window, like that's pretty much what sealed the fate for Mourinho because he couldn't do much with that team, and then he's just like, I need, I need support, I need reinforcements because United have for that team they have a lot of dead wood, and the board didn't think so. Well, the board probably thinks so, but they're just like, hey, I see what you did. We're satisfied. We think you can do a challenge again for next season. We'll just give you minimal requirements, etc. And that's what pissed off Mourinho. And when Mourinho's pissed off, he's he's not going to shy away to the press. He's going to vent, and that's what he does.
He's gonna vent and he's gonna let everyone know. But no, yeah, I mean, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. It was just one of those times where the board didn't help the manager, get what they need, build a plan. To me, if I'm the CEO, I'm the board of whatever team, I hire a manager. The managers go. Usually, when they hire these managers, they present their ideas, their vision. This is what I want, and then if the CEO's on board, yeah, we're agreed. We're going to help you get these players. But in that instance, it didn't happen, and Manchester United are still struggling, even though after achieving third place this year.
Yeah, because lack of reinforcements, and that's why they lost to Crystal Palace because the board didn't want to, support the manager fully. They're like, hey, we'll buy you one player, but we're gonna make it tough to negotiate and just put bullshit PR statements in case we don't get the other players we want, Ray, Sancho, and everybody else. Regardless of that being said, bring it a full circle. When Mourinho's happy and he gets getting the talent he wants, just watch out because the teams that Mourinho can, unleash and the tactics he can do can be shithousery for everybody else that goes against him.
Team, and I don't know, maybe it's because Sheffield United isn't a very dominant team, but Tottenham looked very, very they played well, very
Oh, they play
attacking.
Southampton, by the way.
Oh, was it Southampton? I'm sorry. Yes, it was Southampton. Who did Sheffield United play?
I think Villa. I don't know.
It was Villa. It was Villa. That's the game. That's the thing. No, okay, yeah, Southampton. You're right. Uh, so
Go for us.
and then actually Southampton is pretty decent side. They're not always a bad side. They're a decent side. But yeah, just Tottenham looked very dominant in the whole thing, and I was I love Mourinho for what he did for Inter, so I'm very happy that Tottenham is doing well, even though Tottenham is Inter Milan's dark horse or whatever you want. But yeah, let's keep it the EPL.
Yeah. So since we're still in EPL, we were talking about Tottenham. One of the biggest names signed for Tottenham, one of the biggest American stars, I might say, and her name is Alex Morgan. So Alex Morgan, it was broken over this past week that she has signed a deal to play with Tottenham. And I told you about this earlier. It's like, wow, this is not just Alex Morgan, but at Manchester United, the women's team, they signed Tobin, Heath, and Christine Press. And then over in Manchester City, Rose Lavelle signed for them. So now it's got a lot more interesting from the EPL side for the women's league because they actually have some talent. And and the funny thing is, like, the American women are the best soccer players in the planet. Well, that's what they're considered because obviously they're back to back. And you have all these American players coming over to England, so they're obviously the lack of. I mean, the competition is going to get higher and higher over there in England, and it's going to be more increasing. But how does that leave the NWSL going forward? I feel like you're losing a lot of your top talent. It's going to be tough, and plus, a lot of these talent are more household names. Alex Morgan, Tobin Heath, Christine Press, Lavelle, like I was saying, she scored not a game-winning goal, but a goal at the World Cup final. So, you got a lot of your top, female players, and they're going all over to England. So I feel like that's going to take a couple eyeballs out of the NWSL because, you're not going to have they used to have the best players, but now I feel like Europe is taking more advantage of seizing these women. And plus they got better playing conditions. They have better, I'm pretty sure, facilities as well to train these women as well because one, they're going to share with the men's more than likely, if not, create like a separate training facility. But, Europe takes better care of their players over there than over here, so I feel like that's going to be the attraction going forward.
I think the biggest shift right now is where the money is, and let's talk about the money for the players. These the American players, like you said, are the best players in the world. So if they're moving to Europe, it's for a reason. It's not just because they want to play for a brand. I'm pretty sure they're getting a lot better compensated than they would be here. Now, granted, when it comes to women's football, the United States is the premier destination for women's football, just because on college alone, on Division I athletics, for a lot of women, it is the highest competition available. I remember when we were at St. John's, there was a girl on the a woman on the St. John's team that she played for the Ecuadorian national team, and she actually flew out to the World Cup. I think that was 2015, the World Cup in Canada. So she flew out there. So that alone just tells you, and there's plenty more. And I think the St. John's women's team also had England internationals. So that just tells you what you need to know, that college soccer is the premier destination for women's football worldwide. And then you look at the NWSL. Now, obviously, it doesn't have the same exposure as the men's league, but it was at one point the best women's league in the world. Now, what does that say when your best players moves to another league? Someone like Alex Morgan, not just because you're one, but in general, she is synonymous with the game of football. She is synonymous with soccer. People, when you think about the most, we can have an argument about Alex Morgan being the best player ever or whatever. I'm not too familiar on the women's game.
I would arguably say that she is the most famous soccer player in the world, women's soccer player in the world, like
right.
Martha or Megan Rapinoe.
So but they're not just the women's; they're the most famous soccer players. Period. When you think about brand names, you have to put Megan Rapinoe, you have to put Alex Morgan in the same category as Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, because they do command, and skill-wise, whatever the case may be, they do command a lot of attention. They have sponsorship deals worth millions of dollars. They do play for the national. They've won World Cups. So again, when your greatest assets move over to England, what is that saying? What's going on with the league over here?
It's going to weaken the league.
It's going to become a weakened league, absolutely. And I think you hit even a better point, is a lot of the teams in England are not, the NWSL works, the NWSL works very independently of MLS. Meanwhile, in England, you have the Tottenham female team, you have the Manchester United and Man City women's team.
Yeah.
So they will be sharing the same facilities and the same resources as the men's.
Yep.
As an athlete, I'm very enticed in that. Being able to train at a premier facility compared to, I think Sky Blue was training at a college campus. Now, mind you, I think they were training at Rutgers, which is not a bad facility on itself.
But comparing that to playing in Old Trafford, like, come on. or even like where Tottenham plays that too.
Right. So that says a lot.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of female players are now starting, a lot of American female players are starting just to move to Europe because, and again, Europe is much more progressive in women's rights as well. So there's much more opportunity in those things.
And I think they're getting, like, I didn't specifically see how much money they're making, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get like a fat paycheck. And this all stems as well from like the lawsuit that was actually dismissed from the judge when the women's were trying to seek equal pay as the men. And since that didn't work out for them, they were just like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Europe, because I think this is a better deal for them financially, because more than likely their agents are telling them, hey, since we can't get you equal pay here in the U.S., there's like dumbasses in regards to, making sure you guys are getting paid equally and fairly, just go over to Europe. They're trying to expand it. They're trying to make and because in Europe, they're trying to expand the women's game there. They're having their own teams. Even Dortmund I think is I don't know. I could probably be wrong on this, but I think the first German team to have their women's team as well. So they're starting to expand, and if you're gonna expand, you gotta hit it hard and get a big signing out there, and that's why Manchester City got Rose Lavelle and Tottenham as well. So these teams are taking it very seriously, and they want to get the players that they could, and I'm pretty sure they're paying them equal. And if I remember correctly, the England FA did announce, or people from England did announce, like they pay their men and women equally. So there's no pay gap.
That was with the national team, though.
It's national, but I don't know. Well, as like I was saying, I don't know if that carries over to the leagues itself, but I would assume it's more or less in the same because a lot of these players would not jump ship that easily if they're not going to get compensated as well.
No, they're definitely getting compensated. I don't think, and this is not me being a pessimist, but I don't think that they'll be being paid the same as their male counterparts.
Yeah.
No, but they're definitely making a lot more than they probably would be here. But I think the other issue is, Alex Morgan was playing prior to this. I'm not sure she was playing for the Orlando Pride, I think, right? So Orlando Pride versus Tottenham Hotspur, which of those teams, is more recognized worldwide?
Tottenham.
Again, looking from a player's point of view, being associated with a brand such as Tottenham Hotspurs is much more enticing for myself than being associated with Orlando. Even if it were the men's team, Orlando Soccer Club, okay, Orlando Soccer Club versus Tottenham Hotspurs, it's a no-brainer. And the other thing is, it's like, since the Premier League, we can argue all day of which league is better, the Premier League or La Liga. I think the Premier League did a great job, but by increasing the women's game in England, because they're going to attract the people that don't watch red soccer. There are men who just watch women's soccer.
Yeah.
There are Americans that only watch the women's national team. So if I'm a fan of just the women's national team, I don't care for the men's national team because, to be fair, they're not that great. I want to know where Alex Morgan's playing. And if she's playing in a very competitive league, which that's where the women's league is getting to, I'm going to go watch that. So again, more eyeballs. Everything we talk about is eyeballs. Who's watching what? Who's paying what? Now, my thing is, I don't know where to watch women's English soccer.
I saw actually that NBC is going to try and stream the women's league.
So if that is true, that is
and if Peacock takes advantage of that, like,
of course,
I guess more eyeballs.
Because the NWSL is not being streamed. I think they will be shown on Lifetime at some point.
Yeah.
On the Lifetime channel. Okay. That's not. I don't associate Lifetime with sports. Don't associate that with sports.
That's just drama.
If you have the English Women's League on NBC Sports, I might watch that. I'm going to go try to watch that. It makes a huge difference. So, again, we go full circle. The Premier League bringing all these American players into the league, I think it's a great thing for women's soccer, especially British women's soccer. It's a bad thing for American women. Very bad, very bad. So it's a good move for the individual players, a bad move for the American league system.
What's the crazy thing, and I'm just trying to see, since you were just mentioning all, like, everything with the contracts and the women's viewingship, is that Morgan was only making $56,000 in a year for, like, Orlando Pride.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And she's on the top.
Mind you, this is like the top women's player in the world, and she's only making $56,000 for that team.
All right.
Yeah,
and that's on the higher end of the women.
And it's crazy. Like, because I was trying to see, like, and I keep hitting dead ends, but if we can get an actual amount for next episode, it'd be great. that Morgan, like I was just trying to see how much she makes in a year, like with Tottenham, but it's mind-boggling that and it's NWSL. But mind you, I get it. The league doesn't make that much money on its own, so I can imagine they can't pay her like $1 million a year at least. So, and I get she probably makes most of her money off her sponsorships and all through that. And it's crazy, but she was actually playing in Lyon before like 2 years ago, and she was making 30K per month. So that's kind of not better, but obviously a lot better than her current contract was with Orlando. So it's crazy. It's how a lot of
Making,
these female athletes don't get what they should be owed, honestly, because
she was
it's a
making
huge pay gap. It's a
30,000.
massive pay gap, huh?
She was making 30,000 per month.
Yeah, when she was in Lyon.
That is a lot more than the minimum wage for MLS. So minimum wage for MLS is actually 56,000. That's
Jesus.
according to the CBA. Is 56
For the year, right?
for the year, correct? And a lot of the players, because if we think about the salary cap, a lot of the players, the majority of the players are on the MLS teams make that much money because we have the DP spots, and then we have the higher foreign players who are paid a lot more. Think about like LA Galaxy, who has Jonathan Dos Santos. He's making $2 million a year, whatever he's making. The rest of the team is making peanuts.
You can imagine there's a lot of jealousy in that club.
Absolutely. So in four months, Alex Morgan is making already $120,000 at Lyon, and who knows why she left Lyon for whatever reason, but there is a massive pay gap because from the European teams to the American teams. Now, I think it's very important to point out that there is an affiliation between the men's teams and the women's teams in Europe versus the ones here. There are very few teams that associate with each other. Like Sky Blue in the New York City market has no affiliation with the NYCFC or Red Bulls, which does not make sense. They should partner with that club. Now, the good news is, prior to COVID, Sky Blue was supposed to play games in Red Bull Arena, and I think we already covered that, which was great. And hopefully, after COVID, that's still going to happen.
Yeah, same here. I do hope it does happen. And the other thing too, NWSL is actually looking to expand, especially with the the back-to-back World Cups with the women's team. But like I said earlier, how are they going to plan to expand if you're losing a lot of your best talent? I did see Alex Morgan's deal with Tottenham is supposed to be like a loan or a short-term deal, so she might just finish up at the NWSL, which will be fine. But a lot of your younger stars they're going to Europe because they want to be treated better, and it just sucks because this is a promising league, but I think they should do a partnership with MLS or figure something out so you can merge both leagues because they can benefit both of each other instead of being separate entities and like MLS and the NWSL because they can do like co-partnerships or like ticket deals which would thrive off, especially with Sky Blue and Red Bull. I don't get that.
And even like I go back home to Colombia. Even majority of the women's teams are an affiliate of the men's teams. Now, mind you, they're not getting. They're probably not making that much more than they are in the United States. But I think that it's the no-brainer, to affiliate the women's team and the men's team, and that's just going to increase the available amount of money where you can pay your female players. And I still think it's going to be a long time before that gap closes completely. But it's just also going to be, what we said before, the available of resources.
Yeah.
I've seen many articles about how, professional women's players have to carpool going from games to games, have to share rooms, share beds, they're being fed like very crappy food. So it is mind-boggling. And I think an affiliation with MLS, which has a lot of money in general, they may not even be playing their players much, but that has a lot of money, would certainly help that pay gap and the resource gap. Yeah. I think one of the biggest complaints that most females players have is obviously the pay is number one, but the second is the resource gap. They don't get the adequate training, the adequate athletic,
The
trainer.
facilities too. I think they have a lack of facilities where to train at as well.
Absolutely. So it's tough. It's tough. Um, you know, I still can't believe that she was getting paid $30,000 a year at Lyon. I think I would have stayed there.
I'm a, yeah.
Oh, but it's still. I'm sure the men's players at Lyon get paid 20 times more than that.
Yeah.
But that's still. I was like, wow. I would have stayed. I don't know why she came back to Orlando. I think she
I
has
think it's just probably because her way of life. She probably just prefers living in America, to be
America,
honest.
right? Possibly. But yeah, no, I mean, back to full circle. Premier League is going to be great, especially with the addition of women's teams. I do see maybe not this year, but next year definitely. Back-to-back headers. Watch the men's game first or the women's game first, and watch the other game next. I see that happening, and I think that's just going to help grow the league and grow the women's game in general.
Yeah, I think this is a great partnership, and if Peacock does it right, you get men's and the women's team streaming back to backs. They should not be conflicts. That's the one thing they should not do. Please do not put any conflicts with the men's and women's team because men's are gonna watch men's, and obviously women are gonna watch the women's team. But stats would show there's a lot more males who love to watch soccer than females. As much as I had to say it like that. But at the same time, if you want to get viewership, play the men's team or whoever first, and then play the other team next. It has to be thought out strategically, hopefully.
It does have to be strong. Like, if you think about it this way, this is a really stupid way of putting it. But if I'm at the pub watching the game and I get drunk, I might just stay there and watch the second game. Or if I need to, if I pregame with the women's game first and then I'll watch the men's game second, that's a way. But like you said, it has to be thought out strategically because you can't just throw something out there and expect it to grow.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And before we end up, since we're talking about like American leagues, American soccer leagues, you mentioned this before we went live that the NISA, if I say wrong, the National Independent Soccer Association or something like that. Okay. So yeah, they signed a deal with BN Sports. So we have more soccer content on. Oh yeah, I forgot to incorporate BN Sports. So that's like 6 fucking networks you had to stream. So it's actually $30 a month now.
Oh, it's a lot.
Actually, I think BN Sports is more because you can't even pay that online. I think you gotta get it with your cable or something.
I think BN Sports is with the cable. Let me just look it up.
I'm pretty sure it's with the cable, so it's hilarious. Oh my god. Like why we have to pay like luckily I have BN Sports, I have a Latino package for Spectrum, so with that I'm able to stream all La Liga games for English and in Spanish, so I can catch whatever is going on at the same time, or any like Fallout games within La Liga. And the other thing too, and I know BN Sports were like literally getting like really sweating bullets because before with the Messi situation, if Messi did leave La Liga, I think BN Sports were really gonna be like, oh shit, what now?
It would have been because then their marquee player would have probably been Neymar, who plays in the French league, and the French do. The French league doesn't command as many players as La Liga.
Definitely not.
So yeah, I mean that was swaying, but then there might have been a little pressure from BN Sports, especially since they're owned by Qatar, to be like, hey Messi, I think you should stay. I'm sure they put in their 2 cents.
Oh yeah, they probably did. They reached out to, more than likely reached out to La Liga, and they're like, hey, let them stay. Se queda. But bring it all together, NISA, it's a great opportunity for them because now people that actually do watch La Liga and other European leagues can watch this on like their spare time, and more than likely this is going to be shown like nighttime, so it's perfect because it's not going to conflict with any European games. You got a nighttime slot that you can easily slot it in, and you can watch like more of your regional teams because NASA is pretty much all around like the domestic side of the U.S. And plus, we get to see New Amsterdam Football Club play some games on television, which is an awesome opportunity for us. And you should definitely check it out if you got beIN Sports.
All right. So I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah, man.
We covered every base.
For now, yeah. I really want to find out Alex's Morgan contract salary with Tottenham, if possible. I'll do a little bit more extensive research on that. But yeah, so this was a really good episode. I enjoyed it, and hopefully with the next one, I do provide those figures, and we'll see what other shithousery goes down next couple week or two.
All right. Well, that's me signing off. Adrian, hope you have a good night. Everyone, thank you again for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best.